Hello, everyone. I'm Amelia.
I'm Nathan.
I'm Sophia, and today we're going to be discussing the Deepwater Horizon oil spill of 2010.
So, here's an outline of what we will be talking about today. We'll talk about what happened, the immediate local and global impacts, as well as the significance to the environmental movement.
Next, we'll talk about which environmental value systems it impacted, its impact on the future events, policies, and technologies, as well as a conclusion. And to wrap it all up, we'll state our works cited.
On April 20th, 2010, in the Macondo prospect of the Gulf of Mexico, during a Deepwater Horizon oil operation, an oil rig exploded, sinking and killing 11 individuals, and continuing to spill oil across the Gulf of Mexico for 87 days until July 15th, causing catastrophic events to occur and 4 million oil barrels to spill. These events were very damaging to the U.S. economy, political sphere, social sphere, as well as the environment, and the U.S. filed a complaint in the district court against BP for $5.5 billion, called the Clean Water Act penalty, and $8.8 billion over the natural resource damages. The immediate impact of the oil spill was incredibly strong on both a local and global level. On a political, economic, and social sphere, effects were faced, such as the Gulf Coast, in which all of the industries were affected very strongly negatively. The economy went in a downward spiral, and all of these industries could not deal with the effects of the Gulf spill. The oil spread was also wide, and it affected all of the ecosystems living here and the animals within them, such as birds, mammals, and sea turtles, which could be caught covered in oil, which was very bad for their health, and it was very hard to restore them to their original prosperity. There was also a large social and public outcry. People were outraged at the fact that these big companies had caused so much pollution and created a butterfly effect and chain reaction of so many negative consequences.
Deepwater Horizon oil spill influenced various shifts in environmental movements. The world, specifically the United States, hoped that more attention would be dedicated to environmental issues after seeing the effects of the oil spill. This was achieved through efforts of organizations like Environment Texas, American Rivers, Greenpeace, Boycott BP, and a man by the name of David Kearns. Beginning with Environment Texas, they had a total shift on the fundraising and petition aspects from aiding mountain ranges to then ending offshore drilling that had been just instilled. American Rivers was a group that placed an emphasis on wetland issues, but made sure to emphasize the effect Deepwater Horizon had on the various water systems. Greenpeace displayed a flag showing BP's logo smothered in oil and read the words, British polluters, while Boycott BP gained over 30,000 members every day from the point of the Deep Horizon oil spill. David Kearns was a man that appeared on YouTube by the name of Stanley Morton III, and he spread garbage from his garden over the forecourt of the BP gas station. In terms of the citizens of the US took on three various initiatives. The first was public participation in response to mandates from environmental legislation. They wanted to boycott BP gas and boycott the system of gas itself, while NGOs emphasized public participation efforts and demanded new legislation from elected officials. Although the advertisement and change was vital to the Deepwater Horizon oil spill, it did take away from other environmental issues at this time as it dominated media and news. So next we go into which environmental value system fits best for the Deepwater Horizon oil spill and a justification. So the EVS most associated with the Deepwater Horizon oil spill is anthropocentric with a small bit of technocentric. As anthropocentric is defined by environmental systems and societies, it is how people can exploit the environment for their own use. People are the managers in this case, and they should manage the environment rather than become an actual part of it as opposed to ecocentrism. So people are the environmental managers, and they manage it through taxes, environmental regulations, and legislation. And they want to reach a quote unquote consensus or pragmatic approach to solving these environmental issues. So first, starting with the Obama administration, they tried to take on the issue of climate change with various treaties in hopes that it would limit the usage. The administration's main focus lied within going into America's natural fossil fuels with the occasional renewable or quote unquote clean energy projects, which as select states would be wind, solar, biomass, hydropower, and nuclear energy. Noah Sachs, who was a professor at the University of Richmond School of Law, hoped for a bill in Congress that would overhaul and strengthen the 1979 Toxic Substance Control Act and allow U.S. environmental protection agencies to control the use of some of these chemicals more tightly. Now, the anthropocentricity is seen through the efforts of officials, and they bank on laws and regulations to fix these very environmental issues. Now, going into technocentrism. So, under technocentrism, it mostly deals with the chemical oil dispersants, which is basically how they were able to clean up the oil spill in the first place. So, they could enhance the initial rate of petroleum hydrocarbon degradation by being the first substrate utilized by the hydrocarbon degrading bacteria that grow and colonize on these oil dispersed droplets. And basically, for this one, they were trying to use technology to actually fix the oil spill itself rather than fight it through the environment or legislation tactics.
The impact of the Deepwater Horizon oil spill was tremendous, most notably on the government policies that were passed to prevent future incidents. Some of these policies include the Restore Act, the Bureau of Safety and Environmental Enforcement, and the Mineral Management Agency. So in 2012, the Restore Act was passed, which ordered that the majority of civil fines stemming from the oil spill be spent on Gulf Coast restoration efforts. Restoration money from BP fines helped rebuild ecosystems that were destroyed, such as in Louisiana. 20 billion in fines were collected, and over 13 billion went to restoring these areas. Also, a new agency, the Bureau of Safety and Environmental Enforcement, was created to track and enforce offshore drilling safety issues, something that had been handled by the same agency that approved these leases to the oil companies. So the BSEE announced a new set of safety rules for offshore operations in 2016, and among these rules was one that required blow-up protectors, the piece that had failed at the Deepwater Horizon, to be inspected by a third party rather than self-certified by the drilling companies. And another advancement in policies was the restructuring of the Mineral Management Agency, which controls offshore drilling. The Mineral Management Agency now has an added focus on developing alternative energy sources other than pure oil, as the spill has dramatically increased oil prices. So clearly, government agencies have been working hard to place new policies that will prevent future disasters from happening. However, with new policies, there comes political discourse. So many Republicans have stated that Obama points a lot of fingers, but neglects to hold responsibility for the government. And it has also given Republicans who support Obama needs to achieve his energy overhaul described earlier the potential ammunition against the administration if the MMS has found to become negligent in the incident. There has been a lot of impacts on technology, most notably the chemical dispersants that Amelia described earlier, NOAA, IRMA, Diver, and the NOAA. So NOAA is an oil spill mapping technology developed to predict where the spilled oil would end up going. Also, satellite and drone mapping has also improved, and with the introduction of drones, images can be sent from the ocean to satellites to produce accurate maps in real time to find oil slicks and assist in oil mapping. This improvement in satellite tech has allowed satellites to map how thick an oil slick is from outer space. And lastly, data from the spill helped aid in the development of programs known as IRMA, which is an online mapping tool that combines both static and near real-time data in a centralized, easy-to-use tool for environmental responders and decision makers. Also, Diver is a massive warehouse that allows people to search through and download large amounts of data on environmental pollution, and both of these tools were created by the NOAA, or the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration.
Thank you for watching.
Every step counts towards protecting the environment, and it all starts with education.